Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday, everybody. Sorry, got a little carried away. I was fussy cutting, so I'm not 100% ready. I'm on a design team, and I've been on this team it's a digital image company, and I've been on her team probably for about 6 or 7 years now. And I was just fussy cutting this image that I colored. So that is what I was just doing. So that's for, hey, do. That's for my, excuse me, next project that's due. So tonight we are using a new product that will be released tomorrow. I can't show you the catalog, but if you have your mini catalog and you turn to page 48, it is the Rustic Harvest Suite. And it is a really lovely stamp set. And then it has some matching dies. You can see them right here. Now these dies here, let me see if I can pull it out so you can see it before we make the card. But it actually embosses the inside of the pumpkin. Hey, Margaret. Hello, Sheila. That must be Karen. How are you, honey? So it's really, really nice set. And then also, you can get with this set is, of course, the designer series paper, and it is all actually pretty dark colors. It'll be nice to create with some of these papers. They're just really dark though. And then it comes also with a 12 by 12 pack of cardstock, and also with this suite, and you can buy it separately, is the Embossing Tool Kit. So it has the tray, and the end unscrews so you can pour it back into your container. And then it comes with a brush that you can brush off the, yeah, me too. You can brush off your embossing powder. And then it has this really nice tool that you can use to hold the piece of paper while you're heating it up. Hello, hello. And then an embossing buddy. So instead of getting all that embossing powder in places where you don't want it, you rub your paper with this, and it puts a powder, takes the static away, and you can emboss freely. So it's really nice, and you can purchase that separately. The actually the toolkit is $27. And then in this set also comes some leaf labels and some amber gems, which are really pretty. So for tonight's projects, I decided to do something a little bit different. Hey, Terry, how are you? And I have this first card, and I used the time-worn embossing folder and some copper brushed paper and the distressed gold paper to add some different colors to the front of the card. And then for the inside, all I did was add the designer series paper with the copper strip. And then for this card, I used the same embossing folder, colored in the pumpkin. We have some stamped leaves, and then I actually embossed the gold onto the middle, into the center of the card. And then I used, and I don't even, here they are, the Peekaboo treat bags, and they come 10 to a package, and they are in craft and also basic white. Now, in the pictures, you can tell a little bit on the screen, I did not use basic white. I used very vanilla tonight. So I actually decorated the bag. Hey, Kathy, how are you? And some little cookies, and I actually have some sitting right here. So, you know, when you get hungry, you need something quick. So there were a few left over that didn't fit in the bag. So there's the bag. So let's just get started. And we'll start with this one. Again, I'm using Very Vanilla. And it is 11 by 4 1/4. And I did score it at 5 1/2. And then what I did was I took the scalloped edge from the scallop contour dies and I measured up just about 1 1/4 inches. And then I used some washi tape to hold the die down to cut the scallop. Hey, Kathy, how are you, honey? And that's how we have the scallop on the front of the card. Then I wanted to add some color, and you can see there's just a little bit of ink right there on the corner. Thankfully, we're going to layer some layers, and you'll never see it. So I'm using Cajun Craze, something I don't really use this color all that often, but it matches the designer series paper perfectly. And I measured this out at 4 1/8 by 3 3/4. Excuse me. And this is going to fit right here on the top of the card. And we're going to see all the stitching. So I don't want to hide any of the stitching. Just got to get a drink, ladies. It was so cool here last Thursday. Today, there's a heat wave. And then I took the Very Vanilla and I embossed it with the time-worn type. And this is 4 by 3 5/8. Now, you don't have to keep track of the dimensions or the measurements. I will have a PDF ready for you tomorrow. Now, you have to watch, though, when you do emboss using that embossing folder, you have to make sure that you have it right side up. Some of the words are you can't even understand what they say, but you'll notice the letters are in, right side up. So you don't want to put this on upside down. So we're just going to glue everything together. And of course, you know me, I didn't put my lids on, so I'm glad that it actually is working. So we just want to get this layered up. And then we're going to adhere it right to the front of the card. And we want to get this as even as we can on the 3 sides, because when we put the inside layers, we want the Cajun Craze to match. So you can see on this one, so it's not, you don't really want the 2 layers off all that much, because it really will stand out. Okay, so there's the front of the card. Then I took this is the copper, brushed copper specialty paper, and I used 2 of the layering circles to cut out my frame. And we're just going to adhere that right to the front of the card. You don't want to add too much glue so it leaks out. I got to clean off the tip of this. So we're just going to layer this down right about there. I'm just going to make sure I hold it down for a second so it adheres. Just clean this off. Okay. We'll have, this is the inside. Let me get these on the top here. For the gold, distressed gold leaves, I use the artistic dies. And I am just going to actually cut these apart. I want 3 of them. So we're just going to cut these apart. Now this one here, I'm just going to trim this down. We are going to tuck them under so we won't see that pointy little edge there. Now, if anybody would like the mini catalog and the celebration catalog, just leave me a message and I'll get one in the mail to you. Okay, so there we have our 3 gold leaves. Then for the little vines, and again, these have to be poked out too, I again use the brushed copper, and I die cut the little vines. There's 2 little spots, and I cut out 3 of them actually. You can see the theme here, 3, 3, 3. And now we need a piece of very vanilla and our leaf. And let me just clean this off. And I'm going to use 2 using Mossy Meadow. Now, Mossy Meadow is really, really dark. So I didn't want my leaves to be all that dark. So let me just grab a piece of scrap paper here. Fold it in half. So we're going to ink up. And then we're going to stamp off. And then stamp. Just like that. And this wonderful, wonderful set, no fussy cutting leaves, we're going to take our die, lay it down. Like I said, we're going to need 2 of these and die cut it. And I actually did die cut them already. Okay, so there's our 2 leaves. And then I'm using Cajun Craze because this matches our designer series paper perfectly. And this one we're actually going to ink up and we're going to stamp it right from the stamp pad. And again, die cut it. And then I already die cut it out. And then I'm using that sweet little sunflower, one of my favorite flowers. Hey, Karen. Oh, you are so welcome. I'm glad it got to you. And we are going to stamp 3 sunflowers. Okay. I'm only going to do 1 here because I already did to save time because we have coloring to do. I die cut 3. I do want to say though, if you get this set, when you look at the die for the sunflower, all the sides look like they are pretty much the same. But if you'll look at this sunflower, if you'll notice, the petals on the bottom of the flower are just a little smaller than the petals at the top of the flower. Okay, so when you get this die, you'll notice that the cutouts on this side of the die are smaller than the cutouts on this side of the die. So when you line this up, make sure you are lining it up, and it should fit in here perfectly. Okay, and then I would suggest using some washi tape and holding it down, so when you cut it out, it does cut out evenly. That's the one thing I noticed with that. Okay, so when I colored these little sunflowers, I'm using dark and light Cajun Craze, of course. Now for the dark, all I'm going to do is just put some dots around the outside of the middle of the flower. And then I'm going to, believe it or not, I'm going to use the brush, and I'm just going to give it a quick wash. Don't worry if there's little spots left over and you didn't fill them in completely, because it'll be a highlighted area. Then I took some Mango Medley, and this is the dark, and I am just going to add some lines from the center of the flower to the outside, just like the artist did, just to give it a little darkness. Okay, and then I'm going to take light Daffodil Delight, and starting from the tip of the flower, I'm just going to quick give it a coat of color. I'm not rubbing, I'm just quick coloring that in, because the light daffodil is going to take away some of that mango. If you wanted to, you could do it the opposite. Do your Daffodil Delight first, and then do your dark color, and it'll show up even more. Okay, so that's how you would color that little sunflower. Now we can pull our card back in, and we want to work with the shape of this circle. So we're going to take our first leaf, add some glue, and I'm going to use this corner as my starting point. So we're just going to add the green leaves to the top and down the side, just like that. Then we're going to take this leaf here, and I'm going to pop this leaf up, because you'll notice I used the double oval punch, and it's tucked up under that leaf. So before we even add that on, I want it, like I said, I want it popped up. So let's just grab our scrap piece of paper again. I'm going to pull this leaf off, and I'm going to use You Are Mist, and we're going to grab the Cajun Craze, and we're going to ink this up and stamp our sentiment. Now, so I don't ruin the whole piece of paper, I'm just going to cut that down and grab my punch. Now, where I'm covering up part of this oval, I want to make sure that my sentiment is closer to the right-hand side than it is the left-hand side. So let's center it up and punch. And then let's see if I can't get a piece out of here. And I can't. So let me just grab another scrap. And we're just going to punch the second layer. The sunflower I stamped on the paper is different than the ones you cut out. Yes, because once they dry, the color changes. See? They are the same that I already did. It's just that it looks different when you first color them. They are exactly the same. Okay, so here is our ovals. We're just going to add some glue. And I am going to center it on that back layer. Just like that. All right, so let's pull in our... So this is going to go right about here. Now, when I add this to the front of the card, I want to be careful with my dimensionals because you'll notice I have different things tucked up underneath. So let's grab some dimensionals, and I am actually going to put them right here in the center. It's giving me enough room to tuck all these little pieces under. Okay, so let's just get this put down on the front of the card. I'm just going to lift it so I can make sure it's straight. So now that that is down, I can pull my Cajun Craze leaf, and I am actually going to add a dimensional to the top portion, or the part of the leaf that I want at the top. And then I'm just going to add a bit of glue so it stays adhered to the sentiment. And then we have our 3 leaves on the front of the card. Now let's grab our gold. Well, this one needs to be popped out. And we're going to start tucking under all our gold pieces. So let's put that one there. And I'm just adding a little bit of glue to the end. I'm not completely gluing them down. We're going to tuck this under like that. And then we'll grab the last one, and we're going to tuck it up under here. Now we're going to take our little vines, and we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to put one under here. And I'm catching that dimensional under there. And let's grab a second one. And we're going to add that one under here. And I'm going to actually put it under that leaf. And then the last one we're going to put underneath our sunflowers. But what we're going to do is pop our sunflowers up. They're just the right size for these tiny little dimensionals. And we want to just hide this layer right here. And that's the reason I added these little sunflowers. So we'll put one there. And let's grab another one. And we'll put it, and we can tuck it. And then we'll just add one more. Let's see. We'll put it right there. And then we'll grab our last little vine. And we're going to stick it right up here underneath these sunflowers. So you can see that they're not placed exactly the same as I did on the first. Thank you, Pam. Hi, Pam. I should say first. Thank you, Karen. And then we're going to grab these gems. And we're going to take one of the large ones and lay it right in here inside the circle. And then we're going to grab two of the smaller ones. We're going to add them on the outside. And we'll put it right about there. Yeah, dude, the colors look different when they're wet. They dry lighter. Okay, so now let's make some room here. I have my Cajun Craze again, and this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then we have the Very Vanilla, and it's 5 1/4 by 4. I have a piece of Designer Series paper, and this is 4 by 1 1/2. And then this also should be 4, and it's 1/4 inch. So I am actually going to, let's see, did I put it behind? I did. I'm going to run some glue on the back of this Designer Series paper. And I'm actually going to just take my finger and run it along, because when it comes to the special paper, if you get glue on it, it's very hard to take it off. So we're just going to line this up. Make sure it's on there straight. And see, I got some glue right there. Okay. And then we're just going to add some glue. And add this to the bottom. And we're going to go side. I think I did this one different. This one goes right to the edge. On this one, I did leave a little bit of a gap. Now again, I don't want to use glue on this layer, so I'm going to use the seal. And lay this down. And then we can glue it right into the inside of this card. You know what? I forgot. As long as everybody, I didn't add it. I start collecting. Okay, I just clicked the thing. Hey, Kathy. Yes, maybe we will. Hi, Julie. How are you? I wish my event was longer than 1 day in October. But where it is my first event, I have to tell you, I'm scared to death. And I thought it would be too much to do more than 1 day. So I figured I would start with 1 day and then we'll go from there. Okay, so there is card number 1. Okay, it's a little different. You'll notice here I cut the DSP shorter than the very vanilla layer, and this one, it comes right to the edge. So that's the only difference in these two cards. And I think I like this one better. Aw, thanks, Karen. All right, so that's card number 1. Card number 2. So, just so you know, I had forgotten to click one of the buttons for collecting, thanks, Margaret, collecting comments for this drawing at the end of the video. So, I guess it's from about, thanks, Kathy, right about, I think, like Karen or Emma's comments. They've been collected. So just so you know, you can just put any old comment in there, and as long as you comment at least once, you'll be in the drawing. Okay, so now we have card number 2. Now this one's going to take us a little longer. That's why I actually saved it. So we have our Very Vanilla again. This time it's 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. Okay, so there is that. Then I have a layer of Very Vanilla, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. A layer of Cajun Craze, 5 1/4 by 4, and I'm off the thin. And then Very Vanilla that I have run through with the Time Worn type embossing folder. And this is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. Now you'll notice this is how I tell on these layers. Right here, you probably it says harvest. That is my tell-all, so I know that it is the right side up. I have a designer series paper and the Cajun Craze. The Cajun Craze is 5/8. Now this is 4 1/8, but I want it to be the width or the length of this. And then this little piece is 1/2 inch. I want it to go right to the end. So let's add some glue. And we're going to layer these together. Again, I want it to go right to the end. Make sure it's on there straight. And the glue went past, but that's okay because I have to trim it. And we're going to pull our piece, and we're just going to glue this right to the front of this embossed layer. So we'll put it right about here. Now I want to make sure it's on here straight, so I'm just going to push it down. Make sure it is flush with the end. And then I can just take my scissors, or you can do it on your cutter and just trim that off. So now it's right edge to edge. Now that we have that piece on, I am going to adhere these layers together. So you want to make sure they're centered and you have the same amount of space. I'm just going to pick it up and look at it. I love using the glue because it gives you just that couple extra seconds to move it around if need be. So we're just going to layer these all together. Nothing's getting popped up yet. See, that one shifted. But it just gives you that couple extra seconds, see? That you can move it around and get it as close to even as possible. And then one more layer. This is a heavy card, ladies. Plus it's thick. Okay, so there is the start. Aw, thanks, Sheila. Fall and winter. Hi, Ruth. How are you? You are vacationing in Michigan. Woohoo. Okay, so there's that. Then I cut out the frame from the scallop contour dies, and we're going to pop this up onto the front of the card. Now you'll notice that it is closer to the right-hand side than it is to the left. And that's just to fill in this side of the card a little bit because we have so much going on this one corner. So I'm just going to pop this up. Got these little papers again. I haven't vacuumed yet today, and I tell you how many of those are around the house. All right, so I'm just going to move it over a little bit. And I'm going to use these little circles on the ends as my guide. And lay it down. It's a little bit crooked. Okay. So there is that layer. Now I have some very vanilla, and I have 2 layers that I'm going to layer on top of this frame. The larger one is 2 by 3 1/4, and this is 1 7/8 by 3 1/8. And I'm going to take the smaller of the 2, and I am going to stamp "You Are Such a Blessing." And you can see that I did add the sticker to this one, so I can hopefully get it on here straight. And we're going to just put it right up here in the corner. Not bad. So we're going to adhere this piece. I'm going to do a little bit of glue. Hopefully it won't show through. To this piece. And I know there's a lot of empty space on here. And then we're going to take it and we're going to pop it up onto this frame. Now again, we want to tuck things under. So I am going to put my dimensionals just in the center of this layer. And we're just going to put it in between these stitches, this stitching. Just going to hold it up a second, make sure I get it in here straight. Okay, there you go. And then I did cut out one of the pumpkins, and you can see that how nicely it's embossed. You notice one in your hallway. Yeah, sometimes it's hard. All right, now I want this popped up. This frame is popped up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my pumpkin. I'm going to add a dimensional to this outside corner. And then I am going to add some glue to this right-hand side, okay? And we're going to tuck it up and under these very vanilla layers, just like this, and then stick that down. So then this is even with this Cajun craze, okay? You might just have to hold it down till that glue dries a little bit. And then we have a top to this pumpkin. And again, you can see how it embosses and cuts out the stem at the same time. And I'm just going to add a tad of glue, and we're going to stick it underneath and scoot it over so it's centered on that pumpkin. And again, I just want it to adhere just a little bit. And then I cut out different vines. There's 3 different vine designs in this set. So this is the second one. Oops. And we're going to just take this, add a bit of glue, and we're going to stick it right underneath and glue it down to the front of the card. Okay, so there is that pumpkin. 1 pumpkin down. Now, I did make the mistake, and we're not going to worry about it right now. I'll go over it with some ivory. I stamped the pumpkin with early espresso, and I did it on basic white. It should be on very vanilla, but like I said, I'm not going to change it right now. So I'm going to start with, believe it or not, I'm going to start with bronze, and I want shadows at the bottom of this pumpkin. You don't see it on this card, but in order to get the pumpkin to look like it should, I'm going to add some bronze all over. And I'm just going to do it right at the tip here, just like that. Then I'm going to grab my dark cinnamon cider. And you'll notice I use the nibs. And I am just going to add cinnamon cider. Then I'm going to come down, because you know on this pumpkin, looking at it, it has ripples. So that's going to be a shadow. And then I'm just going to add color up. And I'm not filling it in. I'm just flicking. And then I'm going to fill this color in, because that's going to be a shadow. And then I'm just going to flick some color down. Same here. And then come up. And I'm flicking the color because if you look at a pumpkin, there's so many different colors. And then we're just going to flick it up from here. Let's come down. Add that shadow. Okay. So that's our cinnamon cider. Now we're going to jump to dark pumpkin pie. And I'm going to add my dark pumpkin pie. I'm going to come down that shadow. I'm not coming to the edge. I'm leaving that edge. And I'm just going to add this color. Come up that shadow line. And just flick in some color. Now the center, you want nice long lines. Come down that shadow. Flick up and down. Come down that shadow line. Okay, so we're just adding our layers of color. Oh, where are you from, Facebook user? That you're the first time watching for the first time. Welcome. Let us know where you're from. Okay, now this is the light pumpkin pie. And I'm just going to extend these lines. And I'm leaving some white. So I'm going over what I colored, coming up, coming down that line again, coming up, just extending this color and leaving white in between. And the reason I do that is because I'm going to go back now. Let me just see what color. I already did pumpkin pie. We're going to grab the dark mango medley. And now I am going to put a wash of color over everything I just colored. And you don't want to rub or scrub it. You want to just, and my marker is running out of ink. You just want to give it a, and you can hear it. You can just want to give it a wash of color. And it's a little difficult for me now because like I said, my marker is running out. I'm going to turn it to the other side, see if I can't get any more color from it. So you just want to give it a wash of color. Make sure you fill in all the white spots. We're going to let that dry for a few minutes. And I'm going to go back with my pumpkin pie. And I'm just going to add a little bit more dark. I think you've always heard me say, in order to see your highlights, you need to use dark colors too. Okay. So I'm just going to add some dark pumpkin pie. And we did the mango. And now this is the light pumpkin pie. And again, I'm just going to go over it and give it a wash of color. This helps blend all your colors together. Takes away those streaks. And then I'm just going to grab crumb cake. And I'm just going to add some lines in here. And then this is the light crumb cake. And we're just going to color it in. Okay, so there is your pumpkin. If I was sitting here doing it by myself, I would add more dark colors. When you add more dark colors, and let me just see, I'll just show you. If you add more darkness, I'll come up these lines. Okay, just to add to the shadow. See, when you add more darkness, the light colors look lighter because there's more of a contrast. So now that we're done with this pumpkin, I'm actually going to pull in a piece of paper. Like I said, I used white. So I have my ivory marker. I'm just going to go around the edges of the white paper. It was my mistake. I wasn't thinking when I stamped it. And I could have stamped it again and die cut it, but there's no need when you have an ivory marker. Just going to color these edges in ivory. So now it's all fixed. Okay. Pull our card back in. And this one, we're actually just going to adhere right to this layer here. So we're just going to add some glue. And add this right to the front of the card. Let's grab one of those little squiggly vines. And with this one, I'm going to add to the top of this pumpkin. We're going to use it to fill in some of the blank space. So let's add this right about there. Let's pull in our gems. And I'm doing this just one step at a time. Let's add a gem. We can add our other two while we're here. One there. Nope, we want a little one. Little piece of hair right there. Let me take it off and see if I can't get it off. There we go. Oops, it's still there. Got it. Okay, little piece of fuzz. Okay, so now we're going to work on the bottom. Now the twine I'm using, it actually goes with this suite, the cottage wreaths. This is another pretty set. Hey, Sharon, how are you, honey? Hey, Deborah. So that's where this twine came from. And all I did was, I'm just going to cut a piece here. For me, I think it's too bulky for a ribbon. So what I actually did, and let me see if I can't find, here it is. Instead of using my pokey tool, I used my stylus and just stuck it in between the layers to pull it apart. So the edges are ragged. So we're just gonna pull these apart. And then we have lots of little edges here. And I'm just going to do the same thing to the other side. You don't want to use your pokey tool because you'll end up poking your finger. So we just want to pull these apart. I want to make it so it's pulled apart enough. So yesterday, no, was it yesterday? I'm trying to think. Might have been yesterday. We went to the restaurant that I'm holding my event in. And when we left, there was this adorable mama duck and a little baby. One little baby. So tiny it would fit in the palm of your hand. It was so cute. Trying to cross the parking lot. And it was so hot. And we ended up walking from one end of the parking lot to the other, trying to get the mama and the baby in the grass because it was so hot. And we did. It took us a while, but we got them into the grassy area. I tried giving them water, and they were just too afraid. So, but we did. We got them in the grass. Hopefully, it was yesterday. So hopefully they're doing okay. We just felt so bad. All right, so this pumpkin, we want to make sure that it doesn't ruin the front of the card. So this layer, the Cajun Craze frame, is up on a dimensional, and the sentiment is up on a dimensional. This is adhered to this layer. So in order for this to be secured, I need to layer 2 dimensionals together. And we're just going to stick this up and under that pumpkin. So now it's secured. And the reason I put 2 dimensionals is because this is up with 2 dimensionals. One for this, one for this. And you want the front of the card to be level. So that's why I added the 2 dimensionals. Okay. Now we're going to layer our leaves. And I already did them. I have 2 that I stamped and die cut, and these are Bumblebee. And then I have one, went down the wrong pipe. Then I have another one in the Mossy Meadow. So much for taking a drink because your throat is dry. I swallowed wrong. So we're just going to add a bit of glue to the end of the leaf, and we're going to adhere it right here to the pumpkin. We're going to grab the other one, the matching leaf, and we're going to do the same thing. Now, the reason I'm not gluing them down completely around the edges is, again, I want to be able to tuck under these leaves. So we're just going to leave that like that. We're going to grab this last leaf, and again, just the end, and we're going to add this right here to the pumpkin. So we have our layers going here. Now I'm going to grab some glue dots, and I'm going to take this piece that I just shredded the ends with, and we're going to add 2 glue dots because I want to make sure that this stays adhered. And we're going to run late tonight, ladies. I'm sorry. And we're going to just put that down right there over top of those leaves. Now I have my sunflowers that I did the same exact way that I did the ones for the other card. And we're going to take 2 of them and we're going to add some glue. Now I'm going to here's the larger of the petals. So I'm going to put glue, a nice glob of glue, and I'm going to lay that down, and I'm gluing it right to that twine. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the second one. I'm going to put a glob of glue, and I'm tilting them, but I'm adhering them right to that twine. Oh, the alarm's going off. And then we're going to grab a mini dimensional, And we're going to add it to the back of the third one. And we're going to adhere this, and we're going to overlay, and that too is attached to that twine. Now that glue is going to take a couple minutes to dry because I used so much. So now I'm going to grab my leaves from the artistic dies, and we're going to cut 3 of them off. Let's poke out these pieces. Because I'm talking, yeah. Plus it's hot in here. Oh no, your Wi-Fi's cutting out. Well, have a great night, Karen. All right, so now we're going to tuck. We're going to tuck that about right there. This one, I use the 2 end leaves. This time I have 2 individual leaves. So we're just going to take this one and tuck it under there. And then let's add some glue. And we're going to tuck it under there. So it fills in, and I have to poke those out. Just so it fills in some of that dead space. Okay? Then I did do another leaf in the Cajun Craze. I'm going to add some glue. And I'm just going to tuck it up under there. And there's the front of our card. So let's pull in the center of our card. And we're going to grab the flowers and our Versamark. My Versamark, I should get a new one. It's disgusting. And we're going to use, and I'm not going to use the tray because it's only a little bit of powder that I need. So I'm just going to use my scrap piece of paper. But here's the embossing buddy. All you do is rub it on your card. Let's grab our stamp, and we're going to ink it up. Make sure you get a good amount. Yeah, my embossing powder, I'm almost at the end. I even have the little papers from the dimensionals in there. And I am just going to take it and center it as best I can. I'm just going to stamp it down. And then we're going to just emboss this. Okay, so all I do have, which is pretty good, just a little bit right about there. Otherwise, it is a clean embossing. The embossing buddy is amazing. So let me just turn on my heat gun so it heats up for a second. I'm just going to close this up. You know, when your heat gun is not fully heated, it warps your paper. And I don't really want it too warped. All right, so let's see if I can pull my cord here. Let's heat this up. All right. So there, time for new. Yeah, that's for sure. All right. Now we have these little swirls, and you'll notice this side I still have the paper on. I did use the sticker, and I'm just going to pull out my Cajun Craze. And you know what? I'm going to see how it got a little smudge. I must have ink on my fingers. Let's just see if we can't get rid of it. Oh, that's better. Yep, I do have ink. Let me grab a wipe. Get this off my hands. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to layer this down first. Let me just close this up. And because it is warped, I'm going to grab my tear and tape. And I'm going to add some tear and tape right to the edge here. And then on the top, just like that. Now, since I'm using tear and tape and I really want to make sure I get this on straight, if you take your glue and you run, and it's running out, but run some glue down the tear and tape. I'm just going to put some on the ends. It won't stick completely until you want it to. It'll just let you move it around that little extra time. I want this to lay flat, so there we go. And I'm going to use the tear and tape again to put it on the inside of the card. But I just want it to lay flat now. So I'm going to stamp this up with the Cajun Craze, and we're going to line it up in the corner. We're just going to put one there. Now I only put two. I'm going to go each corner on this one. And then one more. Just like that. Okay, so let's just want it to dry for a minute before so it doesn't smudge. And I'm going to use my tear and tape again, because even putting it down, the paper is just a tad warped. So this way it'll stick down nicely. And I'm going to add some glue. It's almost empty. And like I said, this just allows me a little extra time, and it doesn't stick down completely. All right. So let's add this to the center. There we go. And that's card number 2. Lots and lots of different elements on it, but it is such a pretty card. You would have to give this to someone really special. All right, now the treat bag. Simple, simple. It is a cute little, it has a Ziploc style on the top, so you can see right there. And then it also, well, where's the bag? It also opens up on the bottom. I think these are the cookies that are in here, and I think I put 4 in here. I probably could have stuck one more, but 4 was about as good as I could get. So now let's get the pieces. I have some Cajun Craze, and again, our embossed layer. And let's just 1 3/4 by 3 5/8, 1 7/8 by 2 3/4. And all I'm going to do is adhere these together. My glue is almost out. Hopefully I'll get through before I have to throw it away. Well, I don't throw it away. I actually cut it open and use it. Okay, so I'm looking to make sure my letters are in the right direction. Now I'm going to adhere this to the bag. And again, since the bag is going to curve, I'm going to add tear and tape. It's nice and strong. I want to get I use the caps for my cutters. You want it really to adhere nicely since the bag is going to be opened up. So we'll use the tear and tape. And again, we got to look to make sure the letters are right side up. And we're just going to fit this right at the top of this bag because we want to leave the window open. Then we're going to grab the bottom pieces. And these bottom pieces, it should be the 3 3/4 by 1. And this should be 3 5/8 by 7/8. And it's the same paper that we used for the cards. And we're going to adhere this. Please stretch out. And we're going to center this on this layer. And I'll be picking our winner shortly. Aw, thanks, Kathy. Be my guest. Like I said, I'll have all the dimensions for you tomorrow. Okay, so now we're going to, again, using the tear and tape, just so it adheres really nicely. Let's pull these papers, lots and lots of papers. And this goes on the bottom of the bag. So I just want to make sure it's lined up a little bit. And there's the bottom of the bag. I did already emboss the flowers. We're going to just add our dimensionals in the center because the bag's going to curve once you fill it. And we don't want this to get damaged, so we're going to center this. Okay. I'm going to grab another piece of twine here. And I'm going to use this. I'll end up cutting my finger. We're going to just pull these pieces apart. This is for the leaf. We don't want to pull too much, just so it's a little fuzzy. And I'm actually going to grab my paint, water painter and my Cajun Craze. So I'm just going to move everything out of the way. And I actually, oops, that's not the one I want. I want the thin one. And I didn't even fill my water barrel up. I actually grabbed a little container of water. And what I'm going to do is, let me get my scrap paper. I'm just going to add some water. And I want it to be pretty wet. And I'm just going to flick some paint, and it's still not. Onto this leaf. We just want to splatter some color. There we go. We want to just splatter some of the Cajun craze onto our leaf. Then I'm going to grab one of my blocks, and believe it or not, if I can get the glue out, because it's there we go, a water-soluble glue. Just going to clean this tip a little bit. And I'm going to water down the glue. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put glue splatters on the leaf. Let me just heat this for a second. Just want to dry it a little before. Let's add some more glue. So we're going to do some glue splatters. Clean that off. Then I'm going to grab my embossing powder again. And I am going to sprinkle some embossing powder. And now you can see there's embossing powder on there. And I'm just going to heat this up again. Yeah, the PDF will be probably posted by noon. All right, so now, and I should have used the little tool to hold that leaf because it was getting hot. Let me just pour this back in. Get rid of that water so it doesn't spill anywhere. So now you can see the splattered water is now embossed, the glue, okay? And you can still see the Cajun craze in the background. So now I'm going to take my hello stamp and some Cajun craze again. Make sure I have it the right way. Ink it up really good. And we're going to just stamp hello right across the middle of the leaf. Let's let that dry for a few minutes. Pull our bag back in and some mini dimensionals. I'm actually going to put the dimensionals right on the bag itself so I can make sure they're pretty straight and even. Let's pull off the paper. And we'll grab our sunflowers. And 2 and 3. All right, before I add the tag, let's do our drawing so we can see who is going to win If there's anybody else that wants to comment now, because I'm going to do the drawing. Let me just put this through. Now, I should have put this through before I shredded the end. I might not be able to get it through now. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to actually cut it and feed it through. It's just, this hole is just a little smaller than this twine, believe it or not. So it's a tight squeeze. Okay, there we go. So we're going to use the stylist again. Just like that. Okay, so if everybody is done commenting, I'm going to share my screen and we are going to pick a winner. Give me 1 second. And go. Good luck, everybody. Sharon, you won. Congratulations. I will get that in the mail to you over the weekend. Okay, so I did feed the twine through. So what I did was, or what I'm going to do is put a glue dot in the front and fold it over, because like I said, this twine is pretty thick. And I'm going to stick it to the glue dot, and then I'm just going to grab another glue dot, add it to the back, and I just want it off to the side just a little bit, just like that. We're going to make sure that these are stuck really well. I'm going to grab my glue, and we're just going to add some glue. There we go, just like this. And we're going to add this right here to the front of the bag. And then you fill it up, just like this one. So here is our treat bag. You are such a blessing. And whoops, let's scoot over a little bit. And you are so missed. So congratulations, Sharon. Everybody have a safe holiday weekend. I'll try to go live on Saturday. The leaf die, comes in the new, I can't show you, the Hello Harvest bundle that is going to be released tomorrow with the new catalog. So it's these dies, and this stamp set. It's going to be released tomorrow with the new catalog. Okay? Thank you so much, Ruth. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Pam. And this leaf, if you're talking about this other leaf, this one here, that is from the artistic dies and the artistically inked bundle that's in the annual catalog. Okay, it's from this one, the artistically inked, and I didn't even clean mine out, but it's from this set here, or the artistic dies. and it goes to the Artistically Inked stamp set, and that's in the annual catalog. Okay, it is product number 155371 and 154542. Have a great, oh, you're welcome, Kathy. Have a great holiday weekend, and I'll talk to everybody soon. Have a great night. Bye-bye.